First of all, I don't need a locomotive for the field railway. Just like the railways in little mines or quarries, the distances here are small and the loads are not massive, and I'd only be going at walking pace anyway most of the time. And as Ashley is demonstrating so valiantly here, the loaded wagons could all be pulled by hand, even 6 axles up the steepest slope and around the tightest corners. But it would be fun to have a locomotive, wouldn't it? And it would save a lot of work. Yes. So that's why I keep looking for the right sort of air compressor for Tornado, and that's why I bought the engine that I showed you recently, and it's why I made the new wheels. Here's me taking a 2-dimensional drawing of the spokes and adding it to the other 3D parts in Tinkercad, so I can make a model of a wheel set using the actual shape and size of the real parts, so it'll look the way it's going to look in the end. Now, of course, I am busy working away on the railway tracks, update on those soon, and 100 other things at the same time, because it's springtime and it's manic here, but I do like to play around with ideas for the locomotive in the meantime that will fit these wheels.
Thumb outside, remember?
Thumb outside. As I've said before, I would like to make an electric one, but let's consider a simple diesel locomotive first. With this engine, it would have more than enough power, even just idling along, and I can crank start it, so that keeps it simple, but it's quite big. And I've been wondering if it's too big. Actually, this one is not quite the same one as I showed you before. There was just a bit of a wobble, wasn't there, on the flywheel, if you remember, on the first one, which might have become more pronounced on the railway. But Marty kindly swapped that engine for another one with a straighter flywheel. The only thing is, it's a little bit bigger than the last engine. It's nearly the same, and neither of us noticed at the time, but when I checked the measurements, I found the problem. So, to make this clearer to you and clearer to me, which is important, I drew the engine again and I put it together with the wheel sets on Tinkercad so I can move them about and see how they interact. Now obviously this is just the wheels and the engine. I'd still need to make room for the transmission. Perhaps I could make that up with belts and pulleys, or perhaps find some sort of gearbox. But I also was wondering about a hydraulic system using the engine to drive a hydraulic pump, which is connected to a hydraulic drive motor. Yeah, I can figure out how to do that, couldn't I? Yes, can't be that hard. But as I say, I haven't got that far yet. I'm just wondering where the engine might sit in relation to the axles. And a seat too, of course. I need to find room for that somewhere, and a cup holder. But anyway, a big heavy engine with one big cylinder banging away. It would make sense to keep it low down near the rails, wouldn't it? The higher it is, the more pronounced the vibrations and the more top heavy the whole thing becomes. So I would arrange it like this if I could. but in fact it doesn't fit between the flanges of the wheels. It's too wide by a couple of centimetres. Well, at the flywheel end it is anyway. And of course I can't push the wheels any farther apart because they have to fit the tracks. So I'd need to push the axles further apart. But if I do that, then the loco might not go around the corners. It would run perfectly on a straight track or gentle curve track, but not around tight curves. Unless I pivot one axle somehow, that would work. But then I couldn't really have four-wheel drive. Well, not easily. See, I'm hoping to link the two axles with sprockets and chain, so all the wheels are driven and it's less likely to slip. And of course there would be a way of having four-wheel drive and differentials and things like that, but they're not easy, bit tricky, all right. So let's leave those out for now anyway. So the shorter the gap between the axles, that is the shorter the wheelbase, the easier it is to go around corners. And that's why you see locos that look like this. See how close the wheels are to each other? I could do that if I lifted the engine up. The axles could come back together again, but then the engine is precariously hanging in the air and it would be harder to fit the other components in around it. So the compromise is between the engine up in the air but the axles close together, or the engine low down but the axles far apart. I'm wondering, is there a happy medium? Time for some actual testing. I'm using square shafts for axles because they fit in these cheaper bearings. Big bearings are really expensive unless you go with very common sizes. So I've learned. And then we bolted the bearings onto a mock-up chassis and took it for a test drive, and straight away something went wrong.
It rolls along all right.
Not very seriously wrong really though.
Whoa. What went wrong there?
Just not enough weight on it, I think. See, those big wheels find it easier to climb over things than small ones do, which means they shouldn't have any trouble over lumps and bumps and sticks and fish plates and things, but it also means that they might try to climb up and out of the rails.
Just do it again slowly, and I can see where the flange is a specific angle. Let's just see what it looks like. Yeah, looks okay. I think, yeah, maybe wasn't enough weight on it. Yeah. If only we had something heavy to put on top, like an engine. Okay.
There'll be enough weight on it.
Yeah, I'd say there will.
It's not going to be able to lift itself up.
And we've got enough on the tread, plenty of room on the tread. Let's take it to a straight bit and find out.
But after loading it with a couple of logs, the wheels stayed on better, much better, and went around the corners perfectly, and everything looked okay. But that's what you'd expect when the axles are close together. So, of course, we moved them farther apart so they could theoretically accommodate the engine.
Lengthen the wheelbase. Yeah, something like that. That would be 70 between the axles. Lively little thing.
And we found an even bigger log. Now the wheels are wobbly and rattly because they're only held on to the axles with Jubilee clips. We'll probably have to upgrade that when it comes to the final version. Yes, Seb, yes. And it went fine on the medium curve, no bother at all. But not fine on the tightest curve, which is sort of what we were expecting anyway.
Yes, that's what happened.
Go forwards.
Maybe it had to be taken at very, very low speed. Let's just try that. But also this is not quite the right height for it. Yeah. Nope. Possibly too high. Okay, down. Once it's round, once it catches, okay, keep going. Winding, but it made it.
So the way I'm thinking now is either I find a smaller, shorter engine, or else I rebuild the curve and the junction, make it more generous and easy to navigate. So, either options are possible. It's just a matter of deciding which way to go. Any suggestions, anybody? In the meantime, we have an important farm inspection next week. So we're madly painting and tidying up. I want to be able to show the whole charcoal production and the garlic beds as well as the railway. So there's lots to do and everything's sprouting and growing like crazy. So it's very exciting time of the year. More coffee needed.